Hey guys, how's it going? Mark here from Mix It Studios. I'm finally back with another React video. I bought a new camera between now and my last React video, and that needed some different stuff to get it working with OBS, which is what I use to film these React videos. So I needed a capture card and some other bits. Finally got all of that, got it set up. So yeah, and got some new lights as well. So hopefully things are looking a bit better for you all. So we're going to look at Tool today. Tool is a band that I've always been well aware of. Obviously very, very historic and well-respected band within their genre, which is sort of like progressive rock, I guess. And their vocalist, I forget his name, it's Maynard something, I think. Should have looked that up. But yeah, he's collaborated with Tori Amos a little bit. I'm a big fan of Tori Amos, so I was familiar with him through Tori Amos as well. So we're going to look at the song Ænima or Ænema, not quite sure how you say it. I looked that up and there seems to be a lot of differing consensus on how you actually pronounce it, including between the band members themselves, how they pronounced it in interviews. So I'm going to go with Ænima. This is the title track off their second album, which came out in 1996, obviously a little while ago. This is definitely, from what I'm aware of, one of their most famous albums and most, well-recognised albums. I've heard a few songs off their last release, which came out not that long ago, and I know there was like a big long gap between albums, so there was a lot of anticipation for them to put out some music again. I liked what I heard of that, but I've never really delved into them too much as a band. So yeah, we're going to have a listen. And if you're new to the format here, basically, as the title suggests, sound engineer reacts. So I'm looking at things from my perspective as a sound engineer, so what I think of the mix, the recording, the production. So as much as it's looking at the song itself, it really is, I'm really focusing and honing in on the production aspects of things. So yes, if you've come here to hear me either slag off or sing the praises of your favourite band or your least favourite band, you might be a little bit disappointed, as I do like to comment on the music and what I think of it, but yeah, it's much more, this is geared towards the technically, musically minded. So yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this. We're going to have a listen. This is Tool with Ænima. Okay, first thought, I like the general vibe going on here. Yeah, it's definitely cool. The vocals are quite quiet in the mix. This is often a stylistic choice, for whatever the reasons. There can be a whole myriad of reasons why you'd make the decision, but sometimes it's down to the singer or the overall vibe of the production. Obviously, with certain genres like shoegaze, the whole point of that music is that the vocals are meant to be buried within the mix, and then some genres of music, it's more about the vocals sort of sitting level or like kind of inside of the mix. And then in a lot of modern music now, particularly modern pop, but definitely just in general, vocals are much louder in the mix. They're very much on top of the mix these days. Everything's sort of become a bit louder and punchier in general. With the mastering, I noticed that this is definitely quieter and there's more dynamic range there, which I kind of miss in some respect. I do like the punchiness of modern masters, a lot of modern masters, particularly within rock genres, and you can listen at lower volumes more and things have the same level of impact. Like if I stick a David Bowie record on, say from the 70s, on at a low volume, it definitely starts sounding better once I turn it up more. So with more dynamic mixes and masters like that from, you know, decades ago, they sound awesome if you listen on a great set of speakers. Speakers, not headphones. Listen on a good set of stereo speakers and crank it up. You're going to get a great sound. But modern masters are kind of more consistent across whatever you're listening to them on. But yeah, so the vocal's a little buried here. The bass is very prominent. I like the tonality of the bass though, and I like the tonality of the drums. So let's have more of a listen. So a lot of dynamics going on here, not just in the mix, but with the arrangement. I like that. And the singer's voice, he's very good. His range in terms of, you know, sort of singing more sort of cleanly, I guess, and then introducing more aggression and distortion into his voice. You know, he can really ramp it up when the sort of chorus kicked in there. It's a very emotive vocal performance, which I really like. In general, there's quite a just emotive sense of energy here in the track. I don't know quite how best to describe it, but I'll go with that. I like that introduction of when the track started. I'm not sure if it's like a manipulated vocal sample, almost sounds like breathing or something, kind of, you know, cut up and looped. But whatever it is, how that came back in, repeating motif, I like that. The chorus is yeah, it's great in this, really, really like it. And throughout this, some very interesting bass work. It sounds I'm not sure, but it sounds like, because the root notes on the bass, it feels like the bass maybe is in a lower tuning, just because some of those lower root notes seem quite low. I might be wrong there though. But yeah, I like the bass tone. There's a lot of low mid information in it, and it is quite dominant in the mix, but then there's some really, you know, interesting bass work going on there, so it kind of deserves to be prominent in the mix in that respect. And very interesting drum work going on as well, and the guitar sits nicely and everything. Definitely the points of interest for me here, I think, are the other elements of the mix. The guitar's not sort of really standing out to me, but you know, it fits and works well.
Some say a comet will fall from the sky, followed by meteor showers and tidal waves, followed by fault lines that cannot sit still, followed by millions of dumbfounded dipshits. And some say the end is near, some say we'll see Armageddon soon. Certainly hope we will. I sure could use a vacation from this stupid shit.
This is cool. this drum pattern going on now. The stuff going on the toms is really cool, almost kind of hypnotic, and I like the wide panning on the toms. That really helps emphasize the sort of craziness of these tom fills going on. Very cool. Yeah, and I was just thinking, you know, with the vocal being kind of not as loud in the mix as modern mixes and mastering goes. Yeah, it's not just a volume thing. I feel like a lot of vocals now are kind of mixed a lot brighter with more presence. And in general, everything in a mix, you know, you go back a few decades, it's been a while since I've listened to anything from the 90s or before that. And yeah, a lot of stuff, like, it just wasn't pushed enough or pushed as much in terms of, you know, kind of feeling like you sort of need to excite everything. Stuff was more just kind of, you know, just balanced well enough to sit where it should without really sort of, you know, feeling you need to colour things too much. Things are definitely, you know, a lot more coloured these days, I think. And, you know, different approaches are kind of, I like both, but it's just interesting on reflection listening to something like this from a few decades back and how mixing and mastering and music production in general has kind of changed.
One great big festering neon distraction. I have a suggestion to keep you all occupied. Learn to swim. Learn to swim. Learn to swim. Mom's gonna fix it all soon. Mom's coming round to put it back the way it ought to be.
That was really nice. The last vocal line, just before it started to come back in again now, but just before the last line when he sings B, and it was kind of sustained and it went wide and went stereo, so, you know, some effects going on there to sustain that note and give a stereo widening effect. But yeah, then it just carried on for quite a while as it kind of slowly like faded into the mix, and the guitar there as well, with, you know, some wah kind of stuff going on, sounded like a bit of a wah pedal, kind of a scooped tone, and maybe some slide work going on there. I wasn't quite sure, but yeah, just a nice tone and nice little guitar part that came in there. I liked that.
All these gun-toting hip gangster wannabes. Yeah, fuck retro anything, fuck your tattoos, fuck all you junkies, and fuck your short memory.
I like this with the learn to swim repeating line. How that is, there's some kind of chorusing effect going on, and then it's like panning around the stereo field, so it almost feels like it's going round you. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck smiley glad-hands with hidden agendas. Fuck these dysfunctional, insecure actresses. Tidal wave. I wanna see the ground give way. I wanna watch it all go down. Mom, please flush it all away. I wanna see it go riding down. I wanna watch it go riding. Watch it.
I love the sound of the toms on this. They're recorded really well. Cool. Yeah, I liked that. That was very cool. I really like, obviously the drums and the bass are quite clearly a big driving force in this band and the way they write their songs. The drum work was really cool. A lot of just great tom work going on there, and the toms were recorded really nicely. The drum sound in general, there was some nice use of, in terms of reverb on the drums. It was nice and subtle, like on the snare, there's a bit of reverb there just to kind of make it sound a bit bigger, but not overtly over the top. I mean, this was a time by 96, I think, we were well kind of getting past that gated snare, huge reverb sound that was quite prominent in rock for a long time. Yeah, and the bass work is really nice. There was something going on there in the low mids where it's like a little too, there's something that I just wanted to cut out there. But in general, I just really liked the bass performance. There were some great riffs going on there, some interesting stuff with like some fret tapping and stuff. The guitar tone, nice distorted tone with some like chorusing and then wah on occasion going on. Just nice stuff there. The stuff going on with vocal effects was really cool. There's just some nice sort of automated stuff going on there, particularly with the, I can't remember the line now, Let It Swim or whatever it was, where that was panning around. That was very cool. Some nice use of doubling at points, and then chorus effects, and then generally throughout a nice like subtle reverb on the vocal. Yeah, it was just interesting, as I've kind of said throughout this, how hearing a mix from back from this decade, mid 90s, how everything is just not quite as like bright and present and loud as a lot of stuff is nowadays. And don't get me wrong, like there's loads of modern records where I just absolutely love the production, and I do love that super punchy kind of in your face sort of sound. I mean, when you look at like some modern rock records, trying to think of examples, like maybe Royal Blood's first album, just like super huge sound, like totally in your face, lots of low end but also quite bright, and a lot of presence in the mix and the master. This is one of those. This is more from a decade where everything was just kind of left to sit where it should, and there was no kind of excessive hyping things up in terms of their tonality and sound, if that makes sense. I liked this a lot. It was a very cool track, and I liked the production. I like how it's very dynamic, both in terms of the arrangement and the mix and the master. Just interesting to hear something again from a few decades back, and like I say, how things have changed production wise for both good and both good and bad ways, I think. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you think of, particularly of the mix and the production of this track, what you think of modern versus from a few decades ago production back then, with the loudness wars and mastering and stuff. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, and let me know what you think of Tool, if you're a fan. Anything else you think I should check out by them? I've got so many recommendations at the moment, but I doubt I'll get through them all. But by all means, don't let that stop you giving me other recommendations. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys again in the next one.